Welcome again. I am Manal Zainuddin, the founder of O.R.B.I.T.S Development Code, a transdisciplinary approach for conscious learning and being. If you are new to my content, I have been in the field of education for 21 years. As a teacher and a director, I had the privilege of interacting with children and adults of all ages, including parents, sharing with them excitement, enthusiasm, and of course, concerns. I have also been involved with school owners, education departments, and organizations, including accreditation organizations. But above all, I was an active member in that learning community, which everyone refers to as school, but I usually call it a learning community, and my family, my private community as well. And when we really think of those two types of communities, whether it's school or home, family, they are integral parts of a dot on this world map. And when combined with other dots on the map, they form this beautiful canvas, which we all know as the world, the globe, Earth. And that's when we know that we are all one. There are no divisions and there are no separations. We are all interconnected. And even more, we are embedded within consciousness and being. Now, that's what I always speak about when I speak about education. Education is never separate from the real world, and most importantly, is never separate from us conscious beings. Welcome again. World Environment Day this year has been different in its presentation of the global environmental concerns. And the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres sums it perfectly and seriously when he says, and I quote, "We are rapidly reaching the point of no return for the planet. We face a triple environmental emergency: biodiversity loss, climate disruption, and escalating pollution." UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration was launched this year, 2021, to last till 2030, a decade. Pakistan hosted this grand event beautifully, and it featured world leaders, activists, celebrities, and even musical performances for a wider reach across the globe. The theme was reimagine, recreate, restore. There was another call for the youth as well from the UN in collaboration with the UN Department for Global Communication, and also it featured youth from different sectors in the community, mainly social entrepreneurs, social activists as well, and leaders, and all types of young activists. And already there are lots of initiatives in the world aiming at restoration, in particular one that is under the title "The Call for Restoration Implementers," one of which of these calls is implemented in Lebanon, as people are restoring hectares of land. And the aim from this call for restoration implementers is to restore 1 billion hectares of land by 2030. And this is quite challenging. Like mentioned before, education is never separate from the real world, and those restoration goals and restoring the ecosystem should not be separate from our schools and from our daily life within our families and communities. That's why there are questions that we can ask ourselves as leaders, as teachers, as parents or guardians, and we can of course relate them to children and adolescents as well. Well, to us as leaders, we can ask these questions. Are we, or to what extent are we as leaders emphasizing the significance of the concept of ecosystem in our school communities? And we all know how the concept of ecosystem is related to climate and culture in schools, building relationships and interdependence. To what extent are we incorporating earth science and environmental science within our science curriculum, not just the regular life science that we know or the physical science? Are we as leaders connecting those environmental concerns and environmental goals and insights into our school statement, our vision, mission, objectives and values, so that it is embedded in our yearly plans, so that we know a year ahead, we know what we will be working on throughout the coming year? Do our students know, do our learners know about the 17 sustainability development goals? Are we as leaders using green labs, or at least planning to use green labs? Are we as leaders providing professional development to our teachers about the environment, so that when they are in their classes, they know how to integrate and how to implement environmental awareness, environmental knowledge, and activities within their everyday lessons? Well, as teachers, we can ask ourselves, to what extent do we as teachers feel confident handling all this environmental knowledge? And if we don't, do we request professional development from our leaders? It's our right to do so. Are we as teachers incorporating those environmental knowledge and environmental awareness and activities within our everyday lessons? And that's extremely important. It can be related to all types of subjects, even music. To what extent are we as teachers encouraging children and adolescents, our learners in the class, to express new ideas related to environmental awareness? Because sometimes teachers think that it is not that important, and they might overlook or neglect a brilliant idea given by one of those children. And to what extent are we as teachers enhancing our class environments? Of course, we are doing online learning now, but when we are in person, to what extent are we designing or giving the opportunity to those little children to design the classrooms, playgrounds with anything that relates to nature and to the environment, such as designing bulletin boards, having leaves and flowers and trees and animals and insects all around, like pictures of all those around? That would be really amazing, and it will connect to nature. For that will connect to their environmental care about nature and the environment, and they will understand that even wherever they go, they are part of this overall community, and we are all one with nature, and our interdependence on nature as the main source for our food, for our water, and for our well-being. As parents or guardians, how many of us have discussed with the children World Environment Day and the grand event that happened in simple terms, in simple descriptions, sharing, for example, some documentaries, even sharing some stories with the children? And to what extent are we as parents leading an organic lifestyle? If not fully, then partially, as much as we can. You know, there are times when we can take to discuss certain matters, such as carbon dioxide and emissions, with the children in a very simple manner. We can also discuss how we consume water, and how we manage the water in our homes and the power in our homes as well. And I think if we do so, then it will be easy for the children to understand about what we call as carbon footprint. And you know, the carbon footprint, it's the total amount of the gas emissions that were originated by us humans, by our actions. According to Nature Conservancy, the average global carbon footprint should drop under 2 tons by 2050, and that's not very easy to achieve, actually, but that's how it is. But we can take this opportunity to speak with our children, because carbon footprint can be reduced when we think about what we buy, what we eat, what we use in our daily lives, what services we use. And there is a very interesting carbon footprint calculator, and I can link in the description below the website, where each family can really think about what they eat and what they do and how they spend their days, and calculate their carbon footprint. And that's quite interesting when at least the children start to be start to be engaged with these calculations. It will not be easy for them to understand at the beginning, but if they start reducing one thing at a time, one action at the time, such as, for example, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, reducing the time playing video games, for learners, children and youth, to what extent are children and learners incorporating their care for the environment in their daily lives? To what extent, or are there regular times when the children come to you asking to reuse certain material at home or in school? Are children and adolescents, learners, are they bringing new ideas, new innovative ideas that showcase some solutions that are based on nature, what we call this nature-based solutions? Are children and our youth as well, are they taken seriously when they come out with a certain idea? Because sometimes it happens when the teacher or even the parent might think that that is not a smart idea, or that might not be applicable. While giving them a chance to express it fully and even to test it and experiment it is really, really rewarding. Well, my daughter just last December participated in a sustainability competition held by Expo Dubai and Finland about sustainability, and I was very happy to include her statement in my podcast. If you are a leader, a teacher, a parent or guardian, and would like to share your experience, what you, your child or young adult did on World Environment Day, then please share that in the comments below. That would be really insightful, and probably also what you regularly do as a lifestyle to support environment awareness.